Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Joes of all ages, welcome to the main event of the evening.
It's Talking Joe with Chief and Steve.
Yo, Joe! Yo, Joe! Joe!
Hey! It's me, the Chief. I don't even know what time of day it is, what day it is, what year it is, what I'm doing. What about you? Do you know what you're doing?
I'm wearing a shirt, Chief. Holy ball
What?
bag.
Stop the presses. Hold the front page. This is... Someone call up BBC and let them know.
Yeah, the temperature's finally dipped below the 20s centigrade here in Townsville.
I want to quick interject there. I'm hoping this is a button-up shirt and the buttons are undone.
No, not even, man. I've been getting Harry casual. The reason I am actually wearing a shirt, or actually a t-shirt, sorry, Chief. Sorry, everybody. The reason I'm wearing any clothes at all is less to do with the temperature and more to do with the fact that I've just taught an English class to a lovely little Chinese gal by the name of Scarlett.
Okay.
And typically we are encouraged to wear button-downs, but this is about my 5th class with the same student, and we're pretty casual by this point. So no, it is a t-shirt with Batman and the Joker on it. Whoops.
Nice. And you could not do that video conference without a shirt on.
No, I don't think that would be appropriate. She's 13, Chief.
Without getting into trouble.
And it's China, man. They are always watching you. They're always dropping in.
Yeah.
You never know when the administrator is passing an eye over your class. So, no, I dare not do anything untoward. I mean, we even spoke on the topic of, has she ever tasted alcohol today? And the whole time I was like, oh, shit, have I said too much? Am I going to get a talking to? But she brought it up. She was yes, today my mother bought me a pineapple drink that had alcohol in it. It's like, oh, well, Scarlett.
Okay.
How was it?
Okay.
Hey, racy stuff. How are you doing, Chief?
Not bad. Same as usual. Stuck in the loft, just going about my business.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I think one of the main... I'm trying to think what I've actually done this week of note. And one thing I did try and do is organise the loft because it is a mess and I want to make room for a Scalextric track. Now, if you're outside the UK... Scalextric is a brand of slot car racing. So it's massive in the UK and formed part of my childhood and youth to a big extent. Me and Ben are going to talk kind of in detail about this on an upcoming Out of Timers episode. But I don't think Scalextric as a brand was really known outside of the UK. But anyway, I want to make room for a big track around the loft. I need to tidy. One of those things I've started doing is reorganising the cabinets. And I've been taking apart every piece of Lego kit that is made, breaking it down into different colours, individual bagging it, and then put it back into its box.
Oh, my word. An OCD chore of notes. Wow. Now, tell me, the Scalextric sets that you guys used, what scale were the cars?
132, I think.
132. So we had Tyco sets, which I imagine had to be inferior, but those were 1 to 72. I think. Was
Tyco the one that had TCR had the lane changing thing where you had the trigger, the hand controller, but there was a button you slammed on the top, and when you slammed it, your car would switch lanes, so you could have 3 cars on the track at the same time.
What? Epic.
Yeah, and I also had let me write a note of this to post some pictures up. I had this Matchbox set, which was called Police Car Chase, and it was a figure of 8, the standardised figure of 8 kind of under the bridge, but the bridge section had a yellow tipper ramp, and as you drove the Corvette over the ramp, the ramp would kind of flip down, almost creating a blocking effect, so the police car chasing would just crash.
Oh, excellent.
And you had buttons where you could hit on the top, and as your car's going around one of the tight corners, you hit the button, and the car would actually spin around and do a 180 and go down the other way.
Sure. More to it than meets the eye, man. I always found those things so mindless, but if you really, really are serious about it, there's an art to it. Building the perfect track.
Yeah. Go and check out, all listeners, go and check out Ben Flying Retro on Instagram. He put up a 1-minute Scalextric video he made recently, and he got a DeLorean car in the post, and he made a little video with Phoenix, his son, going up into the loft, discovering this track, and then having a whiz round. So go and check that out, Ben Flying Retro. It's a good one.
Where we're going, we don't need track. Wouldn't that be fun if it could actually levitate? But pipe dreams.
Yeah.
That's so cool, Chief.
Anything else you've been up to?
Reviewing Lethal Weapon and giving it 2 stars. I got some flack for that.
Oh my jeepers.
Chief, in my defense, buddy, I saw it on the plane from Manila to Australia, and I swear anything you watch on the back of a seat, regardless of how good the airline is, it's always going to be tainted. I just was angry with the world, man. But I can't bring myself to watch it again, so I don't know if I'll ever be able to overturn that poor score.
Yes. Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it's an incorrect one.
Yes, indeed.
I'm making my way through the Lethal Weapons. I've done 1, 2, and 3, and I will do 4 tomorrow if I get time, I think.
Diminishing returns, surely.
Yes, I think I've gone... Diminishing returns, yeah. I think I've gone 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars so far. But I don't like to chain these movies up and binge them. I've stuck a completely different movie in between each one, just to break it up.
Very good.
Potato chips, crisps, biscuits and candy, washing them down with a whiskey or a brandy, chewy sweets, cookies, built around jerky, snacks running fair because we got them at our mercy. We're snackers, attackers, bad mother truckers, and we're eating all the crackers, munchers, crunchers, knockout snacks like we're heavyweight punchers. The snack police are in the his house.
Listen, I am hungry. It's my lunchtime. It's way past your evening meal time, surely. But so have you got another full-on meal as you did last time, or have you got a, quotes, snack?
Oh, definitely quotes snack. It is the ultimate snack, Chief. Oh, and the fact that I haven't consumed any of it up to this point is a lesson in restraint that I'm crumbling. I have popped, fresh off the stovetop, a very generous helping of popcorn.
You sent me a picture, and are you eating for 5 there, or what?
Dude, I always go for quantity. When it's popcorn, man, I can just scarf the stuff down like no restraints. You're effectively having puffed corn. So, it's a handful of kernels, really, at the end of the day.
How bad can it be?
No, it doesn't stay with you, man. It's just all air. You have a few belches and it's all gone.
Let's just talk toppings quickly. Are you a varied, multicultural man? Do you mind a bit of sweet, a bit of salty, a bit of, a bit of chili, a bit of honey? Can you go in any direction and be happy, or does it have to go down one line of thought?
For the longest time, I was a savory guy exclusively. Someone had the absolutely bonkers idea somewhere in history to put Smarties or Astros. What do you use? Maltesers? I don't know. Just some kind of chocolate into their popcorn at the cinema. And that just caught on, man. Like, nowadays that is a treat because you're going through a very savory snack and every once in every while you get this little candied chocolate explosion.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Not the whole box was that. It was kind of like little surprise nuggets in the middle of it.
You just chuck the box of Smarties in. Do you have Smarties in the UK? Sure.
Yeah, we have Smarties, but I've never heard of anyone doing what you just described.
Mate, don't knock it till you tried it.
No, I'm not knocking it at all. But maybe localised to your area.
Okay. Well, this evening's snackage is very localised to the good old ARAH. In that picture I sent you, and I hope you do put it up on the socials for everyone's benefit. I'm a good man. Is a local South African seasoning called ARAH.
Okay.
I assume it's local South African. I assume it's not common to the world.
Now, I saw the branding of Knorr.
Yes.
KNOR or double O, whatever it is. Now, that is familiar to me. I've actually cooked with some Knorr stock cubes yesterday, but ARAH is not something I'm familiar with.
Let me just read you the first 3 ingredients. Salt, maize flour, flavor enhancers, and then in parentheses, monosodium glutamate, baby. This is 75 grams of pure MSG, and I've salted my popcorn with it. It makes your taste buds go ballistic. I mean, where else do you get pure, refined MSG, baby? It's a global no-no.
What that does mean is that even though it looks like you've got a popcorn bowl for 5 people, that will definitely be all consumed by you.
Oh, you know, it's going to take all the restraint in the world to stop me from crunching my way through this podcast. But let me just, please, can I chuck a mouthful into
Yeah, do
my
it. Do it.
face
We've talked
hole?
long enough. At least let you taste some.
It's still warm, Chief.
Oh, the man's happy. The man's in heaven. He's in popcorn heaven.
I'm going to mute my mic and shut the hell up for a few seconds.
All right, I'll tell you what I got then. Let me send. Actually, I didn't send you a picture. I'll send you a picture, and I haven't actually posted up last week's snacks onto the socials yet. So you've reminded me that is something that I need to rectify post haste.
Yeah, man, my wife's cooking, brother.
Yes, correct. I'm on that. So what I've got here is I made a snack, and it was just using up old ingredients in the cupboard. So the kid was running out of Rice Krispies, which is one of her preferred breakfast cereals. And I thought I'll be healthy and I'll buy these things. They were called Beanie Krispies or something like that. And they're made from kind of crunched dried soya beans or something like that. Anyway, it's a Rice Krispie puffed rice substitute, but a lot healthier, supposedly. Now, it may well be healthier, but with that comes a distinctive lack of taste. And these bad boys were rubbish. She had a bowl. She's like, I don't like these. I was like, what are you talking about? I'll finish the bowl off. No, I didn't like them either. So I thought, I'll put all those into a big mixing bowl. I will, on the hob, melt some honey, agave syrup, coconut oil, and peanut butter. Then I will chop some apricots and pistachios, put those in, mix all the dry ingredients, put it onto a baking sheet, push it down with some brute force and a bit of greaseproof paper, put it in the fridge, and make myself a homemade kind of crunch bar. So let's have a go. Yeah, good.
You've improved it. Well, the true test is if you give it to Evelyn and it gets her stamp of approval.
She likes it.
Excellent. You saved it, Chief. Well done.
I saved it, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. The crunching in my ears was so loud.
Good job, buddy.
We chatted just before we start recording that is Evelyn gone fully vegan now because I tried feeding her a shroom dog for lunch today and she was not impressed. But I did actually give her, she keeps saying that her favourite meal of all time is macaroni cheese. And there's a segment, again, another cheap plug for the out-timers. On that show, we do an Ask the Kids segment. And Ask the Kids this week was, what can you not live without? And the other two kids said, oh, family and the love of your family and being around people. And my kid said, macaroni cheese.
Good girl.
And the fact that she's only had it probably once in the last year because she doesn't like non-dairy cheese, so she's not had it, I thought, look, let's treat her, let's go and buy. So I went to the shops and I bought an £8 in cash money, £8 sterling macaroni cheese, which is normally you're looking at maybe £1.50 or £2.
Jeez.
This was like a deluxe luxury Charlie Bigham's with pancetta and crunchy croutons and herbs on top.
Just for her?
No, I split it with her. So I came off my non-dairy kick for one meal and we split it. And I can attest that it is the greatest macaroni cheese, shop-bought macaroni cheese I've ever had. And she was in heaven as well. So everyone was pleased
all
yesterday.
£8 worth it then.
Yeah,
excellent. Chief, you've got a question from Facebook on the subject of food and breaking fasts.
Yes.
JC wants to know when you're going to have your next meat treat.
Yes, I saw that. And I did reply saying that normally it's the Super Bowl. So first week in February, NFL season closing Super Bowl. I will push out the boat and have like a bacon double patty kind of burger.
Yeah, man. What's it going to be now? The 200th
but
episode
this year,
of
I think this year, I think I went vegan this year for the Super Bowl. I honestly can't remember, but I am thinking of when we come out of lockdown, I am going to go to Five Guys and order a quad patty, which is used to be my standardized Five Guys order.
With everything.
Again, I'll post a picture, so let me get my pen out again. So what have I got to do? I had to post last week's snacks. I had to do something else because I've lost a bit of paper and post up images. Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just re-listen to the episode to find out what I'm supposed to do.
Unless this is met with a cut.
Yeah, I got access to the unedited cut though, I think, still.
Oh, of course.
Listen, we are fully caught up, we are fully snacked up, so now it's time to get fully comicked up.
It's comic talk, baby. Chief and Steve discussing like crazy. Larry Hama riding these bad boys, making sense of the wackiest toys.
Listen as we talk about story arcs, making noise louder than junkyard barks, talking about character motivations and all the various G.I. Joe fun locations. Right, so 187, 188. I had a lot of fun with these ones. I'll be telling you that. So let's first of all look at the covers. 187. Again, we're still in the remit of just the regular cover and the retailer incentive. This is Gallant and Erskine, colours J. Brown. Jinx in the middle of a load of blue ninjas who we haven't seen for a while.
Oh, I cursed when this cover popped up. I saved these issues up until, the same day of recording this episode, so I didn't quite know what I was in for.
Okay.
And when I saw that cover come up, I was like, I think I'm going to go do something else for a little while.
Really? Well, fortunately, the content inside, you only get a couple of pages of Blue Ninja stuff.
I know, but
Still, that was too much.
I don't need him. Not this soon.
All right.
The Blue Ninjas thing is played out. So I was so happy that they had mysteriously bowed out of this plot, because we saw one Blue Ninja trying to rumble Pale Peony.
Yeah.
And then he got taken out by Road Pig.
Yeah.
So that kind of came to a dead end, but now they're back. My favourites.
And we'll talk about it. And Jinx handles them quite easily as well, which we hadn't potentially seen previously. Anyway,
dude, you can fit plot armor under that red jumpsuit, of course. That plot armor is thick.
Yeah. 188 cover. We've got some kind of what I was just going to call it a raft, but what would you call that thing that they're in?
I think the sort of military term for it is a Zodiac.
Zodiac, that's right. Actually, because they do name check it as a Zodiac. You're quite correct. And this has the G.I. Joe team for this particular mission in it. So who we got there? We got Stalker, Scarlet, Gung Ho, Beachhead, and Torpedo in the back.
No points for guessing which is my favourite cover, Chief.
Yeah, obviously this one. This is still. I prefer. I'm looking now at a little pic of Larry's retailer incentive pencils, which I think I prefer. This is, I would say this is okay. I wouldn't necessarily say this was anything special, this cover, for me personally.
What does Larry's pencils add that you feel the finished artwork then subtracts?
I think maybe just the angle of the boat is not quite as tipped up as much.
Yeah, there's more drama. Larry's boat is kind of angled more towards the reader. But I will say this much. The real sort of point of interest in the finished artwork for me is exactly how much welly Stalker is giving that radio.
Yes. He
is yelling into those comms. Like, the other Joes look stoic, except for Torpedo, who's probably the most experienced guy in this setting, and he looks a little bit apprehensive, man.
He does, yeah. And he even mentions that in the issue, doesn't he? They say, for a Navy SEAL, if you're nervous, then we could be shit out of luck here.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think Gallant is holding down the fort admirably, man.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's check out the insides. And to do that, we need a recap. So, last time on A Real American Hero. In Benzheen, all hell breaks loose. Airtight and Dusty have been captured and shipped off to a prison facility. The same prison facility that houses a secret nuclear device deep underground. Colonel Faroud, the newly appointed leader of Benzheen, wants to test his recently acquired krypton device, and with Darklon's help, activates the nuke. But before Faroud and Darklon can escape the prison, a two-pronged attack on the facility commences. Zartan and his group on one side, Lieutenant Falcon and his team on the other. As the assault begins, the clock ticks down.
Nicely done. You practiced that.
No. First time in, as always.
One take wonder. Okay. Congratulations.
Now,
Chief going in dry.
I mentioned at the top that I had a lot of fun with these issues. I thought they were both. Now, we will take them separately because this first issue does close off, and I've kind of written down on my pad issues 180 to 187, and I am actually going to rank that as an arc when we come to the end of this, because that's the 180 is where they go to the comic convention, which is the start of the whole Krypton plot. And it kind of finishes here, I think, in a distinct way. So I'm going to rank this 8 issues as an arc at the end. But this was very filmic, very cinematic, this issue. I thought there's action going on several fronts, and it's kind of breakneck speed throughout.
Yeah, man. I love the stuff going down in the desert.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Loads of intrigue, loads of tension.
Dude, Falcon is the man. Yeah. Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Takes a shot to the face.
Yep.
injects himself with some painkillers, I guess, or something to stop the blood flow, maybe. And he's launching himself out of the foxhole, firing away at his shotgun. I mean, it's incredible. This is G.I. Joe at its finest.
This is,
I agree.
and
Real pitch to
I
it.
think Falcon came out really well from this issue. He hasn't really had to do too much from a comic point of view up to this point in the run, but here he almost feels like they're making him a bit like Flint, almost. And maybe that was his parallel anyway, but, you know, kind of the tough guy in charge. Like you said, he's injected himself. Spirit's actually saying, do you want to relinquish command? And his response is, nah. And then he pops up and blams his shotgun off, so he's not ready. But later on, he does. You know, he says his integrity, you know, he's always losing integrity of the mission of his senses. So, yes, let's let Spirit take charge. But I thought they gave him kind of the macho thing, but they also gave him the sensible command decisions as well.
Now, Larry famously does not absorb other G.I. Joe media.
No.
So he would not necessarily know this, but I'd like to think on some level he feels like championing Falcon's case anyway, because in animated form, Falcon is a jackass.
Right, okay.
You know, he's like, as was established with Shirley and the interview there, he's Duke's half-brother, but he's a bit of a mess-up.
Yeah.
Bit of a showboat. He gets it all right by the end, but like he certainly isn't the pure guts and glory real American hero that he's depicted by Larry.
Right.
He's absolutely the consummate soldier and professional, and you know, obviously Falcon's animated appearance can very easily overshadow his appearances in the comic books because he's got that few.
Yeah.
But it is a reminder to us all that this is how Falcon is characterized in the comic books, and you dare not forget it.
No.
He's the man.
Just for my own sanity and clarity, can you help me just recap what some of the protagonists here are doing? So, before we do that, my favourite line is from Darklon, and they're trying to get out. One of the goons says, "We're trapped, Darklon." He says, "Not if we commandeer this Scorpion 2M and make a run out of the gate." Then my next favourite line, "I'd rather brave bullets than gamma rays." And I think that might be, is that a reference because he's in green and the Hulk was obviously green, and gamma plays a big part in the Hulk's origin and history. I just thought it was quite funny, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Defs. I always just took it to mean, and I'm no nuclear physicist or anything, but isn't that the predominant kind of radiation that a nuclear detonation would give off?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I was on that track as well, but I thought it was just interesting to put that line in there, considering Darklon's also green like the Hulk. But Darklon is there because he went there to run a field test on the nuke, using the krypton to trigger it. But then your man bugged out, didn't he? Faroud bugged out, left Darklon there. So Darklon's now trying to escape. There's Joe's trapped in the prison with the Emir, and this field team of Lieutenant Falcon and Spirit and a few other guys. They're there on a rescue mission because they've now found out the nuke's going to go off. But one thing I wasn't fully understanding is, why was Zartan and Zorana and Road Pig and Pale Peony there? What were they trying to do again?
Just one clarification I would like to make, Chief. I think it was Faroud who wanted to do the test. He was like, this facility and all its personnel are disposable.
Yes.
I'm going to set it off.
That's right.
So it was his idea. And I think he's still there with Darklon by the end of the issue.
Maybe that's him shouting to Darklon, "We're trapped, Darklon." Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zartan's presence, I assume he's wanting to get on the inside with Cobra again.
Yes.
Get on their good books. I think he wants to secure the Krytron as some kind of bargaining chip.
Got it. He's there to steal it back and use it as a, like you say, a bargaining chip. Yep, fine.
Oof.
It's
pretty convoluted. He's definitely putting his neck out a little bit too far, I'd say.
Yeah. I do love, there's a scene a couple of pages on from where we were looking there, and you see Zartan with a shooter and letting off some rounds, which it's a cool image because I don't recollect many pages of G.I. Joe where Zartan has got a machine gun and is actually firing it. Do you?
Yeah. I mean, the Dreadnoks are renowned for never using conventional weapons. They're the guys with buzz saws and torches and stuff. But yeah, it's cool to see. It's like a 2-man team, or brother and sister team. Zorana and Zartan both like laying down suppressive fire. He's going high, she's going low. It's a very militaristic approach.
Very much so, and it gives Zartan a much more serious bent, I think. Much more, this is a serious undertaking here, that the mission's gone south and let's, extract ourselves post-haste.
Chief, you are onto something, man. I love that. I love that observation.
Yeah.
That like Zartan and Zorana, for all their unconventionality, they'll still be able to gun you down with excellent expert marksmanship. Like they're soldiers before everything else.
Yeah, and
like all the additional traits that they have with disguises and impersonations and infiltrations, that's just on top of like all the basic skills being covered already.
Yeah, and full credit to Gallant for realising it, even though it's kind of just 2 panels kind of merging into one. The way that Zartan's kind of holding the gun and the poses and the crouching and the angle, just, really, I don't know, it's powerful stuff, I thought.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
Violent issue, man. Pale Peonies chucking swords. One guy's just gone in his front, out his back, flipped the page, and Spirit's chucked a knife right through Darklon's lower forearm. It's a violent one.
Yeah, it's nice to see Spirit Iron Knife using that iron knife,
That's
baby.
it.
Damn, right through Darklon's forearm. I mean, yeah, they do not pull any punches. I do feel like under IDW's tenure, this book has been allowed to become more openly violent, whereas in the Marvel book, the violence was implied. They'd cut away, or you'd see people kind of falling over,
Yes.
no exit wounds, rat-a-tat-tat-tat across the page, but no like violent bloodshed in the panels.
Yeah, I mean, even more so to the fact that we were going to get an execution of the Joes by the prison guards who are still there, and he's about to, he's got a gun right on the back of Airtight's head, and he's about to pull the trigger, but that gets foiled, and then we actually do get an execution, perpetrated by the Emir later on, where he's now freed, and they've escaped, and he says, okay, we have to all go get the weapons from the guardhouse and attack the last holdout elite troopers from behind.
He just wastes those 2 guards.
Yeah,
man.
he says, all the prisoners here are my supporters, and they're not interested in fighting for you Americans, nor will they have any respect for me unless I mete out justice to those murderous guards. And which he does. He then caps them off.
Definitely adding a lot more bite than the Joes were prepared to have. I mean, Airtight takes out the guards using laughing gas. No, what is it?
Sneezing powder.
Sneezing powder.
Yeah.
I feel like they missed a trick, because finally Airtight is using his kind of practical Joker tricks in the pages of the comic book. So that is a wonderful callback to his file card.
Yeah.
But like when he's throwing up in the earlier sequence, and we learn that it's actually rubber vomit or plastic vomit, why don't we actually see the vomit? Establish the gag before you reveal the gag.
That's it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just me nitpicking.
And I'm sure he just could have been retching or simulating throwing up. I don't think he actually needed that plastic. Was that was the linchpin that fooled them? Was it? The rubber
totally.
Yeah. Also want to touch on here Road Pig, because he saves Pale Peony. She's been shot. Zorana's like, leave her. We don't need her anymore. And he actually goes back to save her. And I've written a note down here saying, why is Road Pig showing loyalty to Pale Peony? And then later in the issue, you actually remember, because he says, she took a bullet for me, and then close up on his eye, that counts for something. So is he kind of suggesting that Pale Peony might be a replacement for Zorana because she hasn't really stood up for him in the past, or wouldn't put her life on the line for him, whereas Pale Peony would? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that.
He's just a horn dog, man.
Oh, right, okay. Simple.
Yep, simple. Yeah, totally. Zorana has put down his advances throughout the years.
And he's moving on.
His attention elsewhere. There you go. Okay. I don't know. That's what I read. I mean, it happens so briefly and almost off panel. Like Pale Peony, I think, kicks him over and then takes the shot.
Okay.
She kills the guard that was gonna kill him, and then she gets shot. I mean, it's blink and you miss it stuff, but I suppose, not in the lives of these characters.
Yeah.
Chief, there is an amazing scene played out over one page which has no panel lines.
Okay.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
No, go on, hit me up with it and I can skip to it.
I think it's page 15, or at least in the electronic format that I have.
Yep.
There are no panel lines, and everything is happening kind of in a cascade. The Joes are incarcerating. They've got Farood and Darklon eating the dirt.
Yep, got it.
Falcon is like barking. Well, he's looking absolutely mauled. He's got an entrance wound and an exit wound in his face. And he's given the orders mutely. He's sort of indicating to Leatherneck that the loot is signaling line abreast.
Yeah.
And then Falcon's actual pose is what breaks up the middle and bottom panels. You can't really call them that, and then they're all charging forward. It's fantastic, man.
It's an interesting page layout and design, and it does work because, like you say, it's one visual, but it's 3 separate panels. You know, Darklon.
It has a movie poster feel, like action movie from the 80s.
Darklon eating dirt kind of breaks up that real small panel with Leatherneck there, and then, like you said, Falcon's straight arm out with the signal breaks it up again. But yeah, very cool design.
Amazing. You know, having the big figures and then the smaller figures charging in the bottom of the poster, as I'll call it.
Yeah.
It is very
All right,
cinematic.
let me make a note. Post that up on the social media.
Yeah. They have a bit of problem following the lieutenant's instructions, because if Leatherneck says the loot wants us to form a line abreast, they've formed anything but, dude. And I have a question about this as a way of advancing in military formations. If you are staggering your formation like that, and the back guys are opening fire, are we not running the risk of a big friendly fire situation?
Massively, yes. Yeah.
Whew.
I think these guys are just that good. Especially when one at the back is that Zap with an RPG as well.
Jeez. It's soaring over Falcon's head, man. It must have actually cleared the gap between his head and his arm.
Yeah. Jeepers.
Unless that's the grenade from Leatherneck's underslung grenade launcher.
No, that's definitely... Well, I don't know. Anyway, hazardous. They get hazardous pay, they're fine. How did you feel? We will touch on it briefly. How do you feel about the Jinx Blue Ninja pages that we get? Well drawn, if nothing else.
Dude, suspending my general disdain for these disposable ninjas and what they bring to G.I. Joe at this point, I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
Jinx is badass, dude.
Defo. Yep.
She's incredible, and the art is incredible. I say it many times, but it still is something that I treat with some degree of elation. The sort of blinding white effect that you get in modern comic book arts that we never got, back in the day.
Yeah.
In the old process is stunning. Whether it's electrical crackling or screens glowing or just the sort of the violence of a blade going into metal, it's very visceral and it's so good. And the contrast between obviously broad daylight in the desert and this very dimly lit ninja sequence. You said it, man. Cinematic.
Yeah. Good stuff. And that kind of holds the Deus Ex Machina, if you will, because she manages to get this data from the Revanche Corporation, which has details on the krypton, etc.
Yeah, and therefore, revealing that it's actually a straw man. It's a fake. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And in that breath, I need to bow to the chief. You were right all along.
Right.
Destro played everybody.
Yeah, because that happens on the last page of the issue, and I couldn't remember this at all, so this was just an assumption I was making, but he proves to be the mastermind we hoped he would be all along.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
He set the wheels in motion by creating this thing, which ultimately didn't work. He told the Joes about it, which gave it credibility in the eyes of the sort of the terrorist nations of the world. And he even went through with kind of adding credibility to the weapons sale by showing up personally and acting all butthurt about the fact that Darklon had it. Yeah, dude, master plan. And I mean, his final words on the subject are, it's just his contribution to world peace.
What an ending. I mean, this is how we say Larry Hama closes out plots and story arcs on the last page many, many times. This is one of his best, I think. This was just like the perfect ending, because so many movies, books, comics, etc. have a great beginning, a great middle, and it's that last third, that ending, that a lot of stories struggle with. But this, for me, was just like, boom, perfect ending.
I gotta know, Chief, aside from your sixth sense about Destro being large and in charge and typically in control all the time, do you think that in the mind of Larry, he knew that this was going to be a phony situation, that Destro was manipulating it?
I do, and I think, well, I don't know. He famously, we don't want to retread boards that everyone has heard the stories of, but him famously saying, I don't know what's going to happen from one page to the next. I certainly don't know what happens on page 22 when I start writing page 1. I think you can take that with a pinch of salt. There's definitely going to be certain things that he's aware of. I'd like to think that this was planned, to be honest. But, well, I don't know.
As would I. I mean, it's certainly a credit to his writing if it was planned and he was able to hoodwink me, particularly, because I was hoodwinked by it, so well. But the flip side to that, I've got to play devil's advocate.
Of course.
If he wasn't 100% certain about how it would end up, that would only enhance the level of ambiguity that the scenes played out with.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, every time Destro made an appearance, we were not seeing a definitive strategy from him because in the mind of the author, these things were still percolating.
Yeah. Either of those worked fine with me, whether it was planned or not planned as it came along. But yeah, great stuff.
So are you going to Yojo this one?
Yeah, what do you want to do? I'm going to Yojo the 8 issues for this. Up to you. You don't have to. You can just give us your thoughts and opinions overall if you want to.
I guess I can only do kind of relative ratings right now, and I think I gave the Blue Ninja arc like a 7.
Okay.
This would be a mid-7.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm gonna roll big, dude. I'm gonna go 8.
Whoa, coming in hot. S-Jubbs 7, giving it an 8. S-Jubbs 8, we'll call you from now on.
Well, I don't want to steal your thunder, Chief. I mean, where do you see this fitting in the kind of hierarchy?
Well, I was probably somewhere around a 7 to a mid-7 as the issues were rolling onto each other. Now with this conclusion, I think I am somewhere between a 7.5, a mid-7 to an 8. So I'm going to percolate. I'm going to look at my score sheet. As listeners of a third cheap plug for the out-of-timers, if you're not listening, go and listen. I quite often say that I don't like to rate things in a vacuum. I like to compare one to another. So I'll look at other things I've got on my master G.I. Joe list around the 8 and 7.5 and see where it slots in. It could be either of those numbers, but I will let you know where I put it next week.
Well, S-Jubb 8 is rating in a vacuum, and in spite of the weaker elements that this run had, not too sold on Clutch and Rock and Roll sub-story. But it came right in the end.
Good.
A good old brawl in the desert with Falcon taking a shot to the face. Hey, I'm on board, brother.
Listen, we are going to now look at 188, and this is the first part of, I would assume, a multi-part storyline. Again, I can remember the Red Shadows and the Black Major showing up when I read it the first time round, but I don't recall where it went or how long it lasted. But it's clearly the first part of a multi-part storyline, and we're taking a complete departure from where we've been. Here we've got a small group of Joes, as we mentioned, those 5 on the cover of this issue. They are out at sea off the coast of Kalingaland in East Africa, and a ship has been hijacked by pirates.
Yeah, Kalingaland.
Kalingaland, yeah.
Didn't we first visit it in the pages of Special Missions?
More than likely, yes.
I seem to recall it being one of Jim Godfrey's favourites.
Okay,
and since you so kindly sent me all the covers, I think I could track it down.
Yeah.
It is...
And while you're looking at that, it's interesting you mentioned Special Missions, because this had a Special Missions vibe to it for me, this issue.
Special Missions number 10.
Yep, that's it.
Little Prince Ngoto.
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
And surprisingly, he's actually on this mission. I found that a little bit far-fetched. Like, the monarch or the prince of this nation to actually kind of put himself in
is that the
peril
guy?
like
That's
that.
the guy from that Special Missions issue, is it?
I believe so, yeah.
Prince Ngoto. Ah, right, okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, right, yeah. He's with the Joes, and his half-brother, no, his brother-in-law, is actually the head of the pirates, yeah.
Taking matters into their own hands. Geez, these guys, for royalty, they sure like to live dangerously.
They do. And they've got a key hostage on board this ship, and it is Dr. Adele Burkhart, obviously seen in issue 1 of the Real American Hero series, and then sporadically appearing throughout.
Callbacks aplenty, and some that go beyond G.I. Joe a real American hero?
Of course, the big talking point then, I guess.
Well, it's the pretty standard setup of Joe's doing a night insertion on a big ship that has pirates on it. But
Just very quickly, and this is an offshoot. Page 1, panel 2, Gung Ho, front of the Zodiac. Has he got his cap on backwards?
zooming in now. Yes, he does.
Okay,
oh, that's a great touch.
Okay, fine. I'm just checking. I'm just wondering if that's something Gung Ho would do, and I'm actually fine with him doing that. Later on in the issue, he has righted that cap to be front-facing.
Oh, mate, if you are riding your Zodiac into the wind, I mean, have you ever? Surely you've on a windy day worn a peak cap, and that peak, that keeps lifting up. That's going to blow away.
Reverse
some
that bad boy.
Aerodynamics. Bam.
Yeah. Anyway. Carry on. Standard insertion for the old rescue op for the Joes.
I was going to kick it over to you, man.
Okay.
What's the big reveal, Chief?
Well, the big reveal is we get to see the Black Major on the deck alongside the pirate leader, and he is fully decked out in his blacks with his red trimmed officer's hat on and the skull and crossbones on the lapel, and it's like, what the deuce is happening here? And then obviously we get the Red Shadows later on, because these are characters that would have never appeared in Real American Hero G.I. Joe comics. I guess the Red Shadows appeared in the Devil's Due run, but these were a kind of a callback to Battle Action Force from the UK.
I have a confession to make, Chief.
Go on.
I've been unfaithful, man.
Okay, that's fine.
I haven't been reading the IDW series exclusively.
Okay, that's fine.
I've been dipping into the well that is Battle Action Force. And
wow.
The
now
well is good.
You are a lucky man then, because I claim to be a G.I. Joe fan. Not all things G.I. Joe, because as we all know on this show, I'm not that well versed with some of the later toys or the cartoon, etc. But I have not dipped my toe into all the old Battle Action Force stuff. So that is something that I'm going to have to remedy. So you've probably at this point read more than I have.
Well, then you've just got an exciting adventure ahead of you, man. Cool. Or, as you like to call it, more homework. Oh, drat. The ever-increasing list. Chief, it's really good, man. And
Excellent.
It's good in ways that are unexpected to me. But that's an entirely different set of podcasts there.
Yes.
Damn.
But these are characters, and again, I am familiar with these characters from their toy point of view, and some of the issues, their appearances in those issues that I've read. But, and again, maybe Diagnostic 80 would be more versed here for full knowledge of all this era of UK comics. But this was, I guess, from the early to mid 80s, would it have been, or late 80s, these Battle Action Force and the appearance of these characters?
Pretty much early to mid. I think started up in late 82, if I'm... oh, dear.
Okay.
Let me not put myself out there. But I think by 1984, you started seeing integration of the American characters.
Right, okay. But these were the main...
Battle Action Force.
These were the main enemies as opposed to Cobra, were they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I hope I'm not giving the game away too much when I say that Baron Ironblood, the leader of the Red Shadows, in Battle Action Force continuity, became Cobra Commander. And Red Jackal became Destro.
Okay,
and so the Cobra Command was born out of the Red Shadows. But I think, I haven't read this in a long time, but I think Ironblood actually exterminates his Red Shadows and begins anew. Like, he's personally responsible for destroying the old organization. Because I think Action Force had gotten too close to finally nailing him.
He's a great character, man. He's a great character design. Love that. And Black Major here is fantastic.
So good. Okay.
Yes, but let's go back to
Black
where we're
Major,
at now.
Red Shadows, Mouton.
Yeah.
I mean, so many Action Force designs being debuted in the pages of this comic book.
I really wonder how that came about then. I wonder what drove Larry to include those in this.
There was a convention exclusive in 2010.
Okay.
Which set the sort of Black Major and Red Shadow figures in O-ring style.
Oh wow.
But that was old news by the time this comic book came out. So maybe he just wanted to address it. It was like, this stuff is untapped. Which kind of flies in the face of his philosophies on not reading other people's stuff. But, you know, because this is a totally separate creative team dealing with a totally separate, like, IP almost. I mean, at this point, Action Force and G.I. Joe were distinct. You know, in the early 80s, both toy lines were Star Wars inspired, but were completely different entities.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, I think Larry has said in the past, he's not going to go around looking for other G.I. Joe content, but he's fine with other people bringing stuff to his attention. So maybe it got brought to his attention, look at, you know, these cool characters from, you know, a bygone era, from another almost brand. What do you think? And he might have looked at him and thought, okay, I actually quite like these dudes, let's include them in. So I don't think he purposely goes looking, but he's willing to be shown stuff. So maybe.
I love the redesign on Mouton. Finally, it doesn't look like a deep sea diver just with some kibble attached. It looks imposing. It looks heavy. Oh man, it's incredible.
Great redesign. Really good job there. Yeah. And the red shadow. It's interesting because there's a bit where the red shadow, the Black Major, he gives some order to raise the black flag, which I guess means an all-out assault, and they're laying down heavy fire. And the Joes actually say Cobras might not have fallen for that, but these guys are still hardcore. So almost a suggestion that the Red Shadows are a pale imitation of Cobra in a way. But because when they're first introduced, they look like an elite strike force.
The overarching vibe that I get from the Red Shadows ultimately in the pages of Battle Action Force is that these guys are fanatical to the point of being suicidal.
Okay, which actually plays out here in this issue.
Yeah, maybe they're not the most finessed, well-trained troops. Certainly there is an early issue of Battle Action Force dealing with their training that the Black Major is administering, and it's very much in the same vein as Wingfield. It's like, if your mates can't make it up the obstacle course, kick him, because he'll only slow you down. So it's like a major bit of attrition, and I think they are basically trained to just throw their lives away.
Yes, yeah.
Which flies in the face of their snappy red uniforms. You know, if you're going to have suicide bombers for troops, don't dress them so immaculately. But hey, what can you do? It's a winning design.
That's it. I mean, it partly strikes of kind of Crimson Guard, obviously because of the red, etc. The helmet kind of does have a
Nazi stormtrooper
vibe about it, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, especially what weapons are they using there as well? They look kind of...
Yes, it looks like a German MP40 or even a grease gun. So they definitely are playing to that aesthetic. And the fun thing about it was, I mean, there's no denying that the basis for the Red Shadows, the kind of the action figure itself, used a Wehrmacht body mold.
Right. Okay.
So it's totally in the uniform, the kind of the Fritz style helmets and the pack around the figure's lower back.
Here's one bit you won't like, and the Tomahawk has pulled around and up pops Roadblock with Marduce laying down some heavy fire, and he is surrounded by sound effects.
What do you do?
And they look a bit
unnecessary.
They look a bit Looney Tunes, superhero-y, over-the-top sound effects as well.
At least it feels like it's part of the artist's vision. You know, these aren't just overlays. Like, it's definitely part and parcel of that design to have the onomatopoeia so bold.
Yeah.
So it's almost more acceptable than, like, something that looks like an afterthought. Like, that was put in by maybe even a letterer.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right. It is Looney Tune-ish, but I'm going to give it a pass because it makes up the composition of the artwork. Yeah.
Apologies. We always like to give credit here. It was S.L. Gallant on art for these two issues, Gary Erskine on inks, and Jay Brown on colours. Obviously, Larry Hummer writing. And it kind of leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger because Adele Burkhart has now been deemed unnecessary because the Black Major says, special ops teams don't negotiate and they don't take prisoners, so your value as a hostage is now nil. At least I won't have to hear your annoying, snarky voice anymore. Wait! Next panel, blam. So, is she dead? I was expecting to turn the page and see that it was someone else taking out the Black Major. The blam was someone else's gun, but we don't get that conclusion. I'll have to wait till the next issue to find out what actually happened to Adele Burkhart. What we do get on the final page is a flying Red Skull.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Once again, epic engine effects. Just seeing it bear down on the whale, that is a terrific mini poster, if you ask me.
Yeah, I had that vehicle. That was pride of place, that toy I had.
Jeez.
As a kid.
Well, Chief, guess what you're handling? Chief talks about toys this evening.
Okay, brilliant.
Do you want to talk about the Robo Skull?
No, I want you to talk about it because I can't remember it much, and I will weigh in when I can.
Mate, well, I was actually going to talk about Black Major.
Okay.
But the Robo Skull is way cooler toy to talk about.
Yeah. Well,
let's be honest.
Let's decide. Overall, just wrapping up on the comics here, a great first issue for this story arc, I thought.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Jeez. There's a little seesaw-like trick that happens earlier on where the Joes don't get discovered because a crewman or one of the pirates is swept overboard by the weather. That is absolute fantastic good luck. But then luck swings the other way, and the Joes themselves, when they're mounting the ship, are swept away. So I find that fantastic. Like, you expect the heroes to always kind of emerge unscathed. No, it's like good luck goes both ways.
I mean, that is a great touch. That's showing you how much they're having to fight Mother Nature here out in the ocean.
The even hand of fate.
That's it.
And such visceral action. I mean, gung-ho, full-on, like, headbutts a dude in his nose.
That's incredible. Yeah, love gung-ho. He's going up in my... Well, he's always been up there, but he's jumping even higher. Well done. Lastly, I just want to briefly touch on, and we've mentioned this for the last several issues and episodes we've covered, very violent, and even to the point where a guy's coming out of the mess hall, and Scarlet has basically just capped this guy, and that's where she's shot him and he's fallen over. She's not shooting to wound, she's shooting to kill. They're all shooting to kill. Before
rules of engagement, man.
But before
these are pirates.
There've been no hostilities have opened up. That she's engaged. She started the engagement there by killing him.
Because they have taken hostages.
Yeah.
The priority is no longer peaceful resolution of the situation. The priority is the life of the hostages. Yeah. And, all it takes is one guy with an automatic weapon to spray down a room. Yeah. And it's game over. So yeah, they're definitely not pulling their punches.
Okay.
How great is Gung-Ho's expression as he looks through the hulk that is Mouton and the hole that they punched through with a shape charge, and he's like, Stork was right, nobody home in there.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Dude, this issue is off the chain. This is a 10 out of 10 issue for me.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. We will catch up next episode with 189 and 190. But right now, we've got a decision to make because we're going to talk about some toys, but we don't know which one. So here's Toy Talk.
Steve talks about toys, ho ho. Steve talks about G.I. Joe. He talks about all the toys from the comic book and the animated show. Steve talks about toys. Steve talks about toys. Steve talks about toys. Steve talks about toys.
What'll it be? Yeah, okay, well, we'll roll with the Black Major because, hey, this is his issue, man.
Yeah.
This is his reintroduction. And he has got one hell of an interesting origin story.
Okay.
So, the toy was a 1983 vintage by Pally Toy called the Black Major. His personal name was Top Secret. His Action Force code number, none. Primary military specialty, combat control. Secondary military specialty, classified. And here goes the biog on the Palitoy Action Force card. It said, former Action Force member. One of best trained Marine commandos before capture by Baron Ironblood. Sophisticated brainwashing turned him into a dedicated and ruthless follower. Brilliant military commander and tactician. Information very uncertain. And then there's a quote saying, totally emotionless, the Black Major carries out Baron Ironblood's orders without question.
Right. He's the number one, yeah.
Big time, dude. And that biog is brutally brief to try and encapsulate this character, which, to my mind, is one of a kind. I mean, are there any other examples of a good guy turning to the bad?
I do not believe so.
Neither do I, man. It's always been a kind of a ruse, a long game, like Chuckles or Dusty, characters that have been known to work for Cobra, then kind of come out of it clean on the other side. But Black Major, he went full-on Vader, man. I suppose that's the analogy.
He did, yeah. He did.
The biog talks of brainwashing, but if you read the self-titled Black Major story from the Battle Action Force comic books,
yes,
it's far subtler. It's far, far subtler. It chronicles his story from school through to his initial recruitment for the Royal Marines, to his eventual recruitment for Action Force, and his ultimate first encounter with Baron Ironblood. And all through it, you get the idea that he is highly motivated, he's extremely good at what he does, but he has a kind of an ethical grey area in that he's not going to let loyalty get in the way of his ambitions. So he will throw his fellow teammates under the bus if it means he can get a promotion or get further into his military career. He engages in criminal enterprises. I think there's one mission where, well, it's not really a mission. He just is sent off to London to get new military dress uniform, and he witnesses a bank robbery or a jewelry heist. And he actually he introduces himself to this criminal syndicate, and he's like, I can show you a thing or two. Let me plan your next heist. So he's kind of moonlighting as a criminal. He is engaging professional hitmen to take out members of the Royal Marines that he would actually like kind of taken care of and done away with. So he's got all this bad stuff bubbling under, but it's not going unnoticed. He's got a comrade in arms, a guy called Dylan. Now, he and Dylan are recruited for Action Force at the same time.
Yep.
So this whole way, this kind of trust scenario is playing out between these two men. And, you know, every time Dylan thinks, oh, this guy's gone over to the bad, the Black Major, or his alias, John Shepherd, as they call him, does something to kind of exonerate himself. So he's kind of seesawing. But then ultimately his first confrontation with Ironblood and the Red Shadows just snaps him. It was more a case of Baron Ironblood manipulating him emotionally and not so much brainwashing per se. Just snaps him, man. He's like, finally, this organization can grant me the power that I've sought my entire career. It's time to leapfrog Action Force, just like I leapfrogged the Royal Marines and the criminal syndicate, and I'm going to join the winning team.
Yeah.
And in the end, he betrays Dylan and joins Ironblood, and Action Force make him public enemy number one, man. It's their mission to take him down.
Yeah, man. I have just jumped on to bloodforthebaron.com. Go check it out. Great website. And just to look at the figure, and this dude came with some kind of deciphering pamphlet.
Hey, what a great little break of the fourth wall. I mean, he's a bog standard action figure. Ironically, he uses the same mold as the mail-away figure, which is called the Action Force Commander.
Okay, yes, yep.
From 1982. So there's nice continuity in that even the figure is a kind of a turncoat. It's like, hey, you were a good guy last year, now you're a bad guy. But the accessories, while few in number, are just fantastic. Probably the best AK-47. I think he repurposed it from the G.I. Joe or the Cobra Officer AK-47.
Right, okay.
But then he comes with that little code book.
Yeah.
So you can decode Red Shadow messages. I mean, they really had their thinking caps on in presenting a fascinating and interesting play pattern with your action figure.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of, I'm looking at a blown up image. So you've got letters A to Z and then numbers 1 through 9 plus 0, and they all correspond to different, almost hieroglyphic-y kind of symbols. So then decode that message. And where would the messages have appeared then? In the comic?
You know what? Scratch me, man. I think we've reached the depth of my knowledge on Palitoy Action Force.
Right.
I never had this figure, Chief. I've only got a small smattering of Action Force figures and the Black Major. I think because his fantastic skull and crossbones Red Shadows symbol, the tampo on his chest, is so often rubbed off, I've often been too shy to drop dollar on the action figure because they're invariably always scuffed and rubbed off. So I've yet to find one in good nick. I'd love to make him part of my collection, but so far no samples have presented themselves.
Okay,
did you have this figure as a child?
I did, yes. Did have this figure.
Oh, wow. Cool. Is he still in your box?
No, I've got zero of the old Palitoy Action Force figures left. Yeah. Nothing.
Okay. Did they get scalped off for video game money?
No. I would have got rid of. I don't think I would have sold anything from my collection. I think I probably. When would I got rid of them? So I had was it along the same timeline? I had about 200 Star Wars figures plus a couple of AT-ATs, about 3 X-Wings, B-wing, a Y-wing, loads of snow speeders and things. And I sold the whole Star Wars collection at a car boot sale in a Safeways car park. And I got about £150 so I could buy a mountain bike because no one in the village had a mountain bike and I wanted to be one of the first ones to have it. So that was my whole Star Wars collection gone in one fell swoop, probably for like a tenth of its actual cost. And I'm trying to think what happened to my G.I. Joe stuff. I wonder how much later I got rid of my G.I. Joe stuff because I've got a box full of maybe 20 or 30 figures, but I had a collection 3 times that size and loads and loads and loads of vehicles. And I'm trying to recollect where they all went, but they all went. For some reason, I only kept a small sampling of it, and 0 of that is the Palitoy Action Force stuff, of which I did have quite a lot anyway. But long story short, no, I don't have any left.
Except for Hawk and Blades, man.
Yeah, Hawk and Blades, that's the only one,
Hawk.
yeah. SAS Hawk and Blades.
Well, it's a good one. Look after that bad boy.
Yeah.
When we do our eventual meetup, Chief, I'm gonna play with your action figures, okay?
Yeah, that's fine, man. That's fine, my friend.
Deal.
Did just going back to the Black Major quickly, did he get a re-release figure or anything? I know you said there was an O-ring, but what was the O-rings, the Iron Blood, and who else did they do?
Well, strangely enough, Baron Ironblood was not included in the O-ring gift set. Yeah, the Black Major saw an O-ring version, which made use of an M. Bison head from the G.I. Joe Street Fighter action figure line. But I mean, if the head fits, wear it. He came with a whole mess of Red Shadow troopers.
Right.
In fact, not only Red Shadows, but they invented a new breed of Red Shadow called the Red Torches, which were basically Red Shadow flame troopers. Really, really nice. This was for the 2010 International G.I. Joe Convention in Providence, Rhode Island, which is obviously Hasbro's backyard. Very nicely presented. Came with a flint, and it was called Vacation in the Shadows.
Oh yeah, I've just got some pictures up. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah, man. It teams up Black Major with the Interrogator from classic G.I. Joe, who was a battlecopter pilot from 1991.
Yeah, right.
Nice set, but it's gonna set you back some pretty penny online. I think I've seen some of the Red Shadows figures or Red Torches going for over $100. Wow, $150 even. Disgusting. Okay. And that's for an individual figure. Eesh.
Yeah, wow, jeepers. Okay, stay clear. Good toy chat this week, as always. Enjoyed it, going down memory lane for the Chief Dog. There'll be more talking toys next week, but right now we need to confuse some people because it's time for Commonwealth Colloquialisms, aka over egging the pudding. We got a pudding, we're gonna over egg that pudding. Ain't got no criticisms. We got some Commonwealth colloquialisms.
Rightio.
Are you gonna sandwich me up this week again?
Well, Chief, the term that I'm going to throw out is something that I heard. I think the context might give it away, so I'm just going to go in raw at the moment and just say, what do you think of when I give you the Aussie colloquial word stack hat? Stack hat.
Very briefly, I've just looked up Black Major, mint on card, £150 on eBay for the Palitoy, the Action Force Palitoy one.
That seems about right. But okay. I mean, look, eBay, you're never going to get deals on eBay. It's always going to be inflated. There are groups online, particularly Facebook. I've just joined one. It seems like there's constantly Palitoy stuff coming up for sale. And this is the Palitoy Collectors group on Facebook.
Okay.
Anyone who's interested, just shoot me a message. I'll point you in their direction.
Cool. It looks like I found a loose one here for £25 with a good-looking skull and crossbones. But again, maybe cheaper online. Okay, no, fine. So I've completely forgotten what the word was already. So hit me with it again.
It's not even a word. It's 2 words. Oh. Damn it. It's a term. It's a stack hat.
A stack hat. So I'm not going down the avenue of it being a type of hat. That's too obvious. A stack hat. Bloody hell, look at that stack hat. Oh, I've got a bad case of the stack hats. No, nothing. I can't go. You're just going to put me out of my misery.
So you were thinking like it might be a derogatory term, like
maybe
like arse hat.
Yeah,
ass hat. Well, you actually were on the right track with Route 1, brother. It definitely does refer to a hat, and it's a hard hat.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, stack hat.
I've got actually 2 this week as well. And,
No.
Well, one you
Sandwich me up, brother.
one you gave me at the start of the episode, so it might not even be one, but we'll come to that at the end. But the first one I'm going to use was when I posted up the question for the listeners of what's your favourite Real American Hero cover. I think it was G.I. Joe Fanatic sent me a message saying there was a homage cover to the it's called G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Dead Game. Oh, must be the variant for the new Rob Liefeld one, issue 1, where it's got Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow kind of going at it. It's a bit of a homage to the Incredible Hulk 181. Have you seen that cover?
Ah, yes. Well, I saw the post. Sorry, I've got a mouthful of popcorn now.
No, you're okay.
Yeah, I did. It's fantastic, but I mean,
but
this is nothing new. Liefeld copies, I mean, mercilessly.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who that cover is. I'm going to send it. Maybe we're looking at the wrong one. I'm going to send that to you now. But the colloquialism comes from the fact that I replied saying it's a cracker, and G.I. Joe Fanatic sent back a question mark as if, what are you talking about? Because I believe in the United States, if that's indeed where G.I. Joe Fanatic's from, calling something or someone a cracker is not ideal, and it means something completely different in the UK.
Yeah.
So,
you're tiptoeing, Chief. What is it in the States?
Well, I'm going to read out the first Google hit. So,
nice.
So cracker. Sometimes white cracker is a contemptuous term used for white people, used especially against poor rural whites in the southern United States. It is sometimes used in a neutral context in reference to a native of Florida or Georgia. Hey, you cracker. Obviously, you hear that quite a lot in movies in the 80s and 90s. But do you know what I was referring to when I said cracker?
I've always got a bit of an inside edge, unfortunately, Chief. Yeah, man, a cracker is like, it's something good, something exciting. Like, we're in for a cracker, we're in for a really good time.
That's it. And I think it's shortened from crackerjack. So if something was good, oh man, that was crackerjack. And then,
crackerjack being popcorn, caramel popcorn.
Not in the UK, I don't believe.
Then what in your context, what would crackerjack mean?
Its reference would be to, like we said, to be something that was good, but I don't know where that was derived from. I don't know what crackerjack derives from, and I will look it up at a later date. But yes, cracker. If something's a cracker, then it's spot on. It's good. So now you can give me your second one.
So, I last week I spoke about doing a Mamma Mia live reunion show online.
How'd it go?
I overslept.
Okay, it didn't go.
Mate, this is how relaxed things are in North Queensland. I was at a house party, and we were supposed to play a game of poker, and I'd brought some ales, like a 6-pack, to kind of basically slowly work my way through that night.
Yes.
But the host, he was having none of it. Immediately a shot of whiskey on arrival. I mean, this guy's a functioning alcoholic. A functioning alcoholic doctor. Be terrified. Be very terrified. And then subsequent to that, he was hitting me with dark rum over ginger ale. And as the night wore on, the drink became progressively darker.
Less ale.
I was so shit-faced, buddy. I got home. I closed my eyes because this thing was starting at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I blinked. Literally, I blinked, and an hour and a half slipped me by.
Okay.
I was a mess the next day, and in South Africa, we would say I had a case of bubbelas, or I was bubbelas.
Bubbelas. Okay,
you don't have to guess, man. Hungover.
Oh,
surely.
I was gonna say something like the shits, that may be related to food kind of poisoning or indulgence. But okay, hungover. Okay.
Yeah,
bubbelas.
Bubbelas. I think maybe it comes from bubbles. Bubbelas. I don't know. And lus sort of is slang for like lethargic.
Okay. Good. I'm going to use that. Bubbelas. My last one. Jesus, people are getting 4 times the fun here on this segment this week. So my one, you used this at the beginning of this episode, and I thought, I'll log that, I'll store that, I'll write that down on my paper. And for once, I did write something down on my bit of paper.
Chief lets nothing go to waste.
And I'm not sure if this is a colloquialism, and I'm not going to look it up, but I'm going to throw it out there, and you can say, this is used the world over, Chief. What are you talking about, you idiot? So, you mentioned about giving something some welly.
Very British.
Now, obviously, you know what it is. You know what it is because you actually said it. But is that a colloquialism?
Definitely a very British thing to say.
Okay.
And the only reason I know, give it some welly, outside of you and Ben, is once again getting back to Mamma Mia, the musical supervisor who came to South Africa to kind of teach us the show. He would tell me, Jubbs, give it some welly. In other words, just like sing out, like really don't hold back. Sing that damn fucking Dancing Queen with all of your heart and soul.
I think it probably would have originated, I'm going to guess here, give it some welly, as in put your foot down when you're driving. Give it some welly.
Okay.
Go faster.
Wellington
but like
boots.
you said, can be used, just go bigger. Go big or go home. So sing louder, do it better, push harder, etc. Give it some welly. Damn, I could have saved that for next week. Now I've got to think of a whole new one.
There's the fun, Chief!
Okay. Listen, let's roll on to the next segment, and this is where we ask you a question. We ask you a question. You being the listeners, us being the people on the podcast, and you answer our question. Yeah.
That's the best one yet.
I got confused.
That's great. Oh, Chief. You're the man.
Okay. Also, another cheap plug, number 4 for the Outer Timers. If you are listening to our Clone Wars Dispatch show, where we recap the animated episodes of the Clone Wars, on this week's, I think maybe Monday's episode, we debut 2 new jingles on the show, and I think you'll like them. They're good.
Second that.
I think you've heard them already, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
Jeez, Chief. You just spitting the rhymes, man. I don't know where you developed this talent, but I think you missed your calling, man. You might be an asset to the sports betting world for now.
Well, listen, yeah, for now,
That's a side career.
Come April 2021, I'm looking for a new job, so I'm trying to pursue all avenues possible. But listen, we posed the question of what is your favourite cover from Real American Hero? And good responses.
Yes. Chief, I feel like I need to set this one out for the simple reason that, at least as a child, the comic book cover was never selling me the book.
Okay.
What sold me the book was the fact that it had G.I. Joe written across the top of it.
Yep.
I had no... And the fact that there's not necessarily any story being conveyed on most of these covers, they're covers for art's sake and for the sake of selling books.
Yes.
I burned through the cover immediately.
Right.
I gave it absolutely no attention as a child, and as a result, I don't think I have any nostalgic feel for any one cover in particular.
That's good. That's
I
interesting.
can appreciate them now as an adult, but covers were meaningless to me. In fact, most of my childhood collection of floppies are missing the covers anyways. It's the first thing to go, baby.
Okay. No, that's interesting because as a kid, like you say, I don't know. It's difficult because my memory's so bad. I don't know what was drawing me to a particular comic. I think extended runs of comics, so G.I. Joe, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, anything, Superman, Batman, anything that I was buying religiously, then I don't care what the cover is because I'm buying the comic anyway. I think whether the cover for me proved a big draw, and this is going off of the G.I. Joe subject, because if it's G.I. Joe, I'm 99% sure I'm going to buy it regardless of the cover. But other series, when I'm flicking through Previews magazine or upcoming solicitations, the cover plays a big part. I'll look at the creative team, I'll look at the cover, and if the cover is drawing to my eye, then okay, I'll read a little bit more about this. What's the blurb? What's it about? So I think it definitely has a big effect for me on new series that I'm maybe not familiar with. But looking specifically at the G.I. Joe stuff, again, as a kid, I think I probably enjoyed the covers more than you did from your experiences there. And when I look at all the covers lined up, I definitely get some nostalgic vibes for a lot of them. But what we're here, let's break down what a few of the listeners said. And what I think I'm going to do is of all the ones that the listeners suggested as their favourites, I'll pull out a few that they would have hit my favourites as well. And then I've got a few here that no one mentioned that I particularly like. So a lot of people mentioned issue 47. This is the one where the assault on Cobra Island, you've got Beachhead, Wetsuit, and Hawk in the Devilfish.
Yes.
I'm not overly fussed on this. This probably came out as one of the top voted covers by people. But for me, I don't know. It doesn't really do that much for me. I think Hawk's face looks a bit weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a Mike Zeck, and he's definitely up there as one of the finest contributors to the hall of covers, but there are some detractors on this one that's going to hurt it for me. I don't know if I agree with bullets being depicted as those kind of red lumps.
Yeah.
The Devilfish's missiles are in the incorrect place. Wetsuit's got the wrong color helmet and backpack. So, look, if it is coming down to picking your favorites, that's where these nitpicks come into play.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that people who put number 47 as their favorite did so because of a nostalgic reaction they have to this cover. Probably also got to do with the contents. You're reading the story into the cover.
Yeah, well, that forms part of my favourite G.I. Joe story arc, that particular Cobra Island one. So, but
And
for
this
me,
would be sort of a symbol of that.
Yeah. Now,
So
I'm
you
going
kind
to
of rally behind it.
I'm going to divert your attention to a cover that no one mentioned, issue 61, which kind of does a similar thing, but for me is much better and more powerful. So this is, again, 3 Joes firing their guns, centre of the page, so it's a similar-ish kind of setup, but for me this is Stalker, Snowjob and Quick Kick with the spotlight on them, under heavy fire, Quick Kick man down, and for me, I prefer this cover.
Yeah, drama. They are on model. Any kind of diversion from them being on model is in aid of the plot. For instance, Stalker doesn't have his standard weapon. He's actually got a Russian machine gun.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's a good cover. Nice bit of silhouetting.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
a design touch. The barbed wire is a nice design touch that wasn't necessary, but it adds.
Yeah. Okay, other mentions we had, issue 52, which is Storm Shadow Quick Kick about to face off. I quite like that cover. I mean, there's quite a lot of covers in the series, if you look, that are kind of 1v1 covers almost. I think from that,
Nice.
from the 1v1 point of view, I think I prefer, again, it's all personal, no one's disparaging anyone's suggestions here at all, but there's one where, I think it's 38, where Storm Shadow and Destro are squaring off.
Right. I thought you were going to say 45, where Zartan's getting the jump on Ripcord.
Yeah, another great one, and you can just go across that line on the website here. 48, I quite like Zartan with Gung Ho in a headlock. So what else do we have? Someone else said issue 50 because it was their first Joe book. So that's interesting because, you know, nostalgic vibes. So I think that's definitely a thing, something that is personal to you almost. Issue 43 had a few votes, and friend of the show, buddy Mark Seddon, actually had a commission done recently of a recreation of this cover by the amazing Ladron artist, and when he posts it up, which I'm sure he will, prepared to be amazed because it's a fantastic piece of artwork. But that cover of Death holding an M60,
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
that's a good
I
one.
can't imagine how it could be improved, but I wait to be amazed.
Yes. Issue 74 got mentioned, which this is one of my favourites actually. This is Cobra Civil War, on Cobra Island. Foreground, Cobra Commander or Fred 7 getting the better of Serpentor, and then in the background, Hawk and Destro having a bit of fisticuffs.
Chaos. And Baroness back there looking very concerned.
Yeah, and one of this kind of reminded me of one of my favourites that no one mentioned, issue 16 cover. So scroll back, and this is Destro and is it Hawk or Duke? I can't even see. I've got.
Oh, it's Hawk, man.
Let me zoom in a second.
What is that? Night Attack.
of
That's
course.
Hawk. When Hawk gets gunned down on the back of
That's
his
it.
tank.
Oh yeah, because Cobra Commander, of course. Cobra Commander's got the turret on him.
Great issue. Jeez.
People mentioned a cover of issue 23, which is a nice one. The lighting effects are great. Cobra Commander in cuffs.
Is that Michael Golden cover?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember back in the day, Ben saying that this looks like it's a modern comic. Like
Yeah.
it just stands apart from everything else that's come before. And it's true.
It's
It-
kind of
it definitely
artistic in its vibe, isn't it?
It's gorgeous. I mean, a lot of care and time must have gone into this cover to make it stand apart from its contemporaries because it is so in a league of its own.
Yeah. What else got mentioned? Issue 108 got mentioned, which is Snake Eyes. This was a couple of people said this. Snake Eyes with Cobra Commander in the Cobra Consulate building where he's kind of telling him to back off.
Oh, yes. I had that comic and that cover definitely tore away.
Right, okay. Through constant rereads.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Issue 26, which is the first part of the Snake Eyes two-part origin. kind of a dossier with photos and folders all splashed across the desk.
The orgy of evidence. Yeah,
That's it.
nice touch. Very, very unique. Definitely also in a league of its own.
Yep.
Chief, did anyone vote for issue number 7?
Let's have a look. I don't think they did. Is this the back-to-back Colonel Breakov Stalker? Yes, it is, yeah.
With the explosion and the Cobra troopers advancing on them. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it in its simplicity. And it just tells so much of the story. I think if I, as an adult, am to have an opinion on this topic, issue 7's got to take it for me.
Yep, okay, good stuff. I'm going to run through a couple more just so that everyone gets their shout out, hopefully. Issue 21, Silent Issue. I'm not overfussed on that one particularly. Snake Eyes going up the side of the building. Personally, it's okay, but the contents are, I think, far outshadow the cover. Issue 63 was mentioned, which is Snake Eyes and Scarlet going across the minefield, which I think is quite a cool issue. You've got the minefield signpost has kind of fallen away, so they don't necessarily, you're led to believe they don't know they're wandering into a minefield. Issue 108, which we've already talked about. Issue 103, which is Storm Shadow version 2 camo busting through, or whatever version it is, busting through the glass window. Which is a cool one.
So many movement lines in that in that issue.
Yeah, it's crazy. Issue 1, that's one of my favourites actually, issue 1.
Classic, man.
The level of action and movement and, in your face, balls out kind of going on there. What else have we got? Well, you mentioned some special missions actually, which Jim was keen to point out, and I do love the ones he said. So I'm moving across my tabs to special missions. Issue 4, Lifeline is strung up in a tree by his chute straps with the October Guard poised underneath him. Great cover.
Yeah. Great storytelling.
And also
Tension.
issue 6 with Outback kind of huddled under a ridge, an outcropping, as the local guards try to find him. It's a hide and seek issue. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Gives you an idea of what you're in for. This kind of cat and mouse game. Both of them, in fact. I mean, there's excellent scenarios to be picked by the artist.
Yeah.
And brought to great, vivid life.
Yeah. Good stuff. I think good response. If we've failed to read out your suggestion, apologies. My battery is running low and I can't get all the stuff up on my phone. But I think, as always, the response from the listeners was great and carefully measured responses. We looked at them all and no cover here is bad. And it's all, as they say, in the eye of the beholder. And if it means something special to you, more power to you. That's what it's all about.
Chief, you've been labouring with battery problems on your phone for longer than this podcast has been in existence, man.
Get
Come
a new
on.
phone. Spring for one. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we all must, because once the quality of that battery starts depleting, it's game over,
Well,
brother.
two things to note here. One, that the battery has not been helped by, and I'm not digging out my missus here, but where I plug my phone in, and this is partly my fault, I guess, where I plug my phone in, you're led to believe that you should only really charge your phone when it's fully depleted, and when you charge your phone, make sure it's charged to 100%. Don't let it go to 70% and then recharge it when it's down to 50, because that will ruin the battery life. So, plug my phone in. It's up to about 60% charge, and then the missus comes along, unplugs mine, plugs in the iron to start doing the ironing, or something like that.
Marriage, huh?
Yeah, that's it. I should have known not to use
Not
that
enough
socket.
PowerPoints.
I should have known not to use that socket. But I am due a phone upgrade soon, or maybe even now. So I will investigate that. Listeners, come back next week, if only to hear if Chief's got a new phone.
Nah, dude.
Come for the phone, stay for the G.I. Joe chat.
There you go. We're going to talk about the Robo Skull. Come on.
That's it. Looking forward to that. Been a good show, as always. How have you found it?
Chief, this bowl of popcorn is still staring me in the face,
Get to that.
I've been talking way too much, as usual, but it's been a great show.
Yeah,
Thank you, my friend.
Listen, you can find us in all the usual places. That's Talking_Joe on Twitter, Talking Joe Comics on Instagram. You want to fire us an email, it's talkingjoecomics@gmail.com, or head on over to the Facebook page. That's Talking Joe, a G.I. Joe Talking Joe, a G.I. Joe podcast. Gee, I am all over the shop here today. Listen, as time of writing, we've got 98 members as part of the Facebook group. come and make it number 100. You know, do it. Whoever, I'll tell you what, I was going to say whoever makes it number 100, I'll send you something in the post, but then people will just hold out till that 99th person joins. So I'll tell you what, I'll send something out in the post to whoever goes 99, 100 and 101. There's incentive for you.
Ah, nice even spread. Great.
Yes.
That sounds like an incentive indeed. And if you want to find me on those same places. I'll be there, man. I'll monitor those socials myself.
That's it. Have you, I'm on Chiefy2Shoes on Instagram and Twitter. That's Chief, then a Y, the number 2 and shoes. I've been posting up a daily art pic, and I think it's day 7 today at a time of writing, so I've got one ready to go. You've been checking those out, S-Jubbs?
I'm not on Instagram, not nearly enough, my friend.
Okay, that's fine.
If it was Facebook, different story.
Yeah.
I have been watching your cartoon strip, the birthing magnet strip.
That's been put on hold.
All right. Okay. Well, that explains it. No, buddy. I will hunt you down on the Insta if that's the place to be.
No, it's on Facebook. It's on the Outer Timers.
Oh, really?
The Outer Timers on Facebook. I started that page about a week ago.
Excellent.
So,
well, then it's on the to-do list,
it out on
and
there.
so should you, dear listener.
Good stuff. Been a great show. We will see you all next week. And with all that said and done, we will catch you down the road.
Yo, Action Force.
Nice.